Video, I want to talk to you about blended families or patchwork families. I get quite frequently questions about this, of whether or not it makes sense to move in with your new partner, after divorce or the end of a relationship when children are involved. And this can be a challenging decision to make, and also there will be a lot of integration that needs to happen if you do decide to move forward. Now, one of the key things I think always needs to happen before you decide whether or not you and your partner want to live together with your children is to sit down and decide what kind of a family you want to create. So, what does that vision look like for your patchwork family? Now, in some families, they want to recreate a nuclear family, which means, both parents play a very active role in raising and disciplining, both sets of children. For others, they have a different approach to this, and to say, the biological parent will stay as the primary child rearer and disciplinary in the family, and the other one will be a support to them and will be more like a companion to the children, so not necessarily functioning in a parenting role. Now, what you decide to do is really up to you as a couple and how you envision this happening, and also taking into consideration the ages of your children. So if your children are older teenage years going towards young adulthood, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense at that stage to try and recreate a nuclear family, because your children are already in a stage of gaining their independence and disconnecting from the family. If you have younger children, it may make more sense to try and recreate that where both parents are very active. Now, ground rules are definitely important in creating blended families. There needs to be rules around mutual respect and being civil. So, it's not okay when you're bringing two families together that people are excluded, or they're being ignored, or they're being disrespectful. So there needs to be some rules around, what's civil, and how people treat and interact with each other in the family. Blended families are not, or I shouldn't say they're not difficult. They can be challenging to create, but it's not impossible if you're willing to go through sort of the teething pain of the beginning. And over time, you can learn to really create a family dynamic that works for everybody involved. But it does take time. They say on average, a blended family takes between 1 and 2 years to really settle in. And so, in making that decision to move in with your partner, it is something to consider. How will those 1 or 2 years impact the family dynamics? The other thing, which I think is a really important thing, whether it's in a patchwork family or simply in your relationship, is having regular couple time. So scheduling a regular date night on a weekly basis. This is so important to make sure that you don't get lost in the challenges that come up of having a blended family, and that you can really talk through, those challenges on a regular basis of what's going on in the family and how that's impacting not only you as a couple, but also the children, and then be able to get that out on the table for discussion. And when you're discussing issues that come up in your blended family, I recommend using a model I call the SRSA Model. This stands for the situation, the story, needs, and actions. So basically, in using this model, what you do is you start out by saying, this is the situation that's happened. So I noticed, one of your children doing this, or I noticed my child reacting in this way. This is the situation. And then you explain, this is the story I'm telling as a result of this. When your child behaved like this is what it means to me. And so this is the story I tell about it. And then, what are your needs? I really need to feel, safe and secure in my home, or I need to work with you to minimize the amount of conflict that's happening. How can we do this? Let's problem solve this together. And then A stands for action. So what action steps are we going to take in our family to overcome this challenge that we're having? And it may be sitting down and having a family meeting and talking about these situations that are arising on a regular basis, or it may be coming up with a set of family rules and how that works together. Now, coming back to the decision of whether or not you should move in together, I often hear people saying, yeah, it's better we just stay apart, right? It's low risk. And yeah, there is some truth in that. Of course, if you keep things as status quo, then you know what you've got. The downside of a decision, a blanket decision like that, is that you could miss out on creating something amazing, not only deepening your connection in your relationship, but creating a family environment that is much more beneficial to everybody than it is in the two separate locations. So I encourage everybody, when you're faced with this decision and considering whether or not you want to move forward, to look not only on the challenges and the potential risks, but also look at what do you have to gain, and how this fits with your overall life vision of what you want for the rest of your life. Are you looking to get remarried and have a partnership for the rest of your life, where you have that person next to you every day? Then you might need to learn to overcome some challenges, but it's a great opportunity to grow as a couple, to learn to problem solve, and also as a family. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the comments below, and I'm happy to respond.